Welcome back. Thank you for sticking around because we have an excellent panel. We have a small army of CEOs, co-founders and founders waiting for you now. We'll join them. We have Erik, who is the chairman of this board, let's say. So Erik, I'll go to you. How are you all doing?
I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of the whole panel that we are brilliant today. It's great to be speaking in sunny Israel.
Excellent. It's a pleasure to have you all. It's also been amusing to listen to you. You represent a whole range of countries, cultures, and businesses. So without further ado, let's hand over to you.
All right. Thank you very much. So welcome to the C-level strategy panel. Strategy can be understood as defining first that it should start with understanding where are we today. Then you should form some vision of where you want to end up in some period of time, and then after that you can decide how to get there. So it's a very broad level, broad topic, but I'm sure that during the next 45 minutes we're going to have really interesting insight into this because we have an amazing panel. It's one of the most diverse groups I've ever seen in a panel, and I'm really looking forward to this discussion. My name is Erik, and I'll be your host today or moderating today. I'm CEO at the Dodreams game studio, and we're the makers of Drive Ahead. Drive Ahead is a gladiator car fight game where you'll get points by hitting your friend in the head with a car. It's a head-to-head battler with already 160 million downloads. I'm really passionate about strategy and business models because during the last year, we turned our revenue model from 90% ads to a nice 50-50 balance with IAPs. And the work, has only begun. And that's why I love being in this gaming business. I would next like to introduce our panelists. And I'm going to do this in alphabetical order by first name. So no one can blame me that I'm somehow have prejudice here. So first we have Akin Babayigit, who's an entrepreneur, an angel investor. Hey, Akin.
Hey, guys.
So Akin was previously with King, and he helped launch the Facebook Audience Network. He's now co-founder and COO at Tripledot Studios. The man holds degrees from Yale and Harvard. So Akin, what's wrong with you that you ended up in gaming? Didn't you find like a real job or something?
You sound just like my wife right now. So no, it's I'm not. I like games. I like playing games, but I'm by no means. I wouldn't consider myself a gamer. I think I fell in love with the kind of idea, and I remember this very well. When Farmville first came out, I was pretty fascinated at kind of how they kind of put these viral hooks in the game, and how the core loop of the game was so addictive. So I just started on this kind of journey to understand that better, really driven by human psychology more than anything else. And it just so happens that it's a phenomenal business model. So I just got hooked on that. That was about 10 years ago. So I guess the rest is history, as they say.
Well, Akin, I was naturally joking. It's great to have somebody with a management consulting background in the industry. So you're very much welcome here. I'm also a bit of an outsider because I used to be a university lecturer and PhD researcher in marketing. So hey, this is diversity, right? And then let's move over to Cvetan. So my dear friend, and I'm going to say right away, Cvetan, that please keep the answers short. You understand that there are other people here, and it's only 45 minutes. But yeah, I want to really introduce a great guy, Cvetan. He's COO at Imperia Online, and you've been with the company for over a decade. And I think, well, there are so many things you've done there. But you, for example, raised the team from 9 to 180 people. So I want to ask you that, how many different roles have you had at the company during the last 13 years?
It's a great pleasure to be interviewed by Santa Claus grandson. I really like to see you, Erik, again. Your face always makes me laugh and fill my heart with joy. Yeah, probably more than a dozen hats that I wear in the last 15 years, actually. When you join a small startup, you have to expect this. So you have to be in every role. You gotta be a producer, you gotta be a game designer, you gotta be an economy designer. I had a chance to be an HR because I had previous experience. I was the accountant. I was paying the salaries back in the days. It was not even on a banking transfers, just an envelopes. But hey, this is how we did it in Eastern Europe 15 years ago. So yeah, pretty much every single role except performance marketing. Kind of don't like this.
Wow. Well, I think that's one of the beautiful things in gaming that, everything is evolving and you can learn so much and we can have multiple careers. And I personally also enjoy jumping into productions whenever I can help. If there's some area there where the team doesn't have time or they don't enjoy doing, for example, answering player feedback in the community, which by the way is very, very important. But yeah, hey Cvetan, thanks for being on the panel, and let's move on to Miina. So Miina, you're 8 years veteran in gaming industry. You've done art, you've done producing, you've done marketing stuff, and now a lot of management, leadership, strategy stuff as CEO and co-founder of Boomcorp. Company raised $1.8 million recently, and you launched Boom Slingers, which I would say has a pretty good start, already 2 million downloads. But what's really cool is that your industry peers here in Finland nominated and voted your company as Rookie of the Year. So that's some pretty awesome recognition. What award will you win next?
Thanks for the intro, Erik. And yeah, first of all, we're really grateful to receive that kind of peer support, and I think that's for me, I think that's what makes me come back to games every single year, and why I love making them is because of the people in the community. In terms of, I think startup life isn't the kind of life where you wish for, like, you do all this work just to hope for an award. I'd say the work is in that sense, I think we need to enjoy what we're doing right now and every week, because we never know what happens next. So not thinking that much about awards, but I'd say what we held most dearest is our community and our players. And every time we get recognition from our community that they love our game, I think that seems like an award by itself.
That's very much true, Miina. And I've also learned that in this industry, whenever you have good stuff happening, celebrate it right away. Even if it's just like a short 15-minute call with the team,
right.
Because tomorrow there's going to be some new problem, and it might feel weird celebrating something when you have some other issues in hand. But hey, great to have you on the panel, Miina, and let's move over to Ron. So Ron, hey.
Hi, Erik.
Ron is CEO at Gigantic, and the company transforms the world of arcade games. You're making physical machines playable live on mobile apps. And according to Ron's LinkedIn profile, his professional purpose is one sentence: to disrupt mobile games. So my question to you, Ron, is what's your problem? Why do you think this business needs some kind of shaking up?
Oh, the word disruption is just something that big investors like, but we actually do that. So I don't mean to disrupt the other ones, just to innovate and bring something new. Later on, probably in the talk, I'll tell you a little bit more about how we do that.
Yeah, but I was of course joking, but it is a good motivation because an entrepreneur is someone who sees that when something is broken, then you fix it, do it better. So what is it that you want to be doing differently and better in gaming?
So it's not about fixing, it's about inventing a new genre, a new category in the gaming space. We call it connected reality. where players control real physical machines and they see it live. Okay, real gaming machines. We have like 400 gaming machines in our studio here in Israel, and players actually control and move the machines around, and they see it through live video streaming. So that's the kind of innovation that we bring to the industry.
Okay, very good. That sounds fun, Ron, and let's talk about it more.
Yes.
And now, lastly, allow me to introduce you to Sagi Schleisser, who's a CEO and founder at CrazyLabs. CrazyLabs is a hyper-casual developer. I think you do also like casual games. Company has 5 billion downloads. That's a nice number to have. And according to LinkedIn, Sagi, when he's in the only thing, being in the comfort zone makes Sagi feel uncomfortable. So I want to ask you, Sagi, what's the most recent scary thing you did in life?
Scary thing. Well, I don't think I do scary things. I try to have other people get scared. So no, seriously, I think that I am serious about not feeling too comfortable. So for example, I walk to work every day, like 11 kilometers, but now we're changing where work will be. So it's going to disrupt my comfort zone of walking every day to work. So I'll have to find something else. I think we constantly change. We've put one of the key things in mobile and the gaming is the pace of innovation. So if you are a person who likes to sit on the sofa every day at whatever hour and see whatever, and you're really pissed off when the channel changes or the program changes, then this is not the life for you. And by the way, it's a good life as it is. It's not that it's a bad life, but from the get-go, from when we started the company 10 years ago, when there was no gaming culture in Israel, no gaming companies except some start the beginning of social casinos, and very few, and we understood that in order to succeed, we needed to every week to relearn and change what we were doing, because we had so little knowledge and just the passion and the ability. So and by the way, one comment there is just that, you know, my name both on the English alphabet and the Hebrew alphabet is at the end. So also in class I was always the last one. And next time in your next panel, go from the last people to the beginning, not the other way around. We are always at the end.
See? Well, thank you, Sagi, for teaching me this, because you think you're being fair and you're actually bullying someone. So yes. This is a valuable lesson. So allow me to repay this to you. So if you want to do something uncomfortable, I'll give you a tip you can try tonight. Maybe the other panelists and listeners can try it also. I participated in this brain aerobics training. And the coach said that in order to get your mind working in different ways and to facilitate innovation, that's like really important for us, you have to do things differently in a different order. So I don't know if you're right-handed or left-handed, but tonight when you brush your teeth, do it with the other hand.
Okay.
So simple things like that will make your brain open for another opportunity or
let's
for a
take
new
it
opportunity.
to the extreme. Today I'll tie my right hand and I'll do everything with the left hand. How is that?
Even better.
Okay.
Very good. Very good. Great. So hey, that's the introduction here, and let's move to the actual panel. So we want to talk about strategy here, and as folks know, in gaming and in startups, it's really tempting to focus on just the next thing that we need to fix or ship. And you know, people might say that, hey, why do we care about where we're going to be in 5 years or 7 years time? And you know, like, it doesn't matter. You know, we might be dead unless we solve these issues we have right in front of us. And actually, Sagi, I'd like to continue with you. You had, when we prepped for this panel, you had some good comments. So how do you balance between this short-term and long-term thinking with your team?
Well, I don't think we really balance. I think we try to enlighten. It's a different kind of mental scheme, because everyone is just performance and execution and competition and the changing dynamics of the environment with whatever Apple or Google or the competition is coming with are hard as it is. So all the teams, especially when you're a growing company, so you have like 100 open positions and recruiting and everything, but then the team needs still to fill until these people are coming. So so they are in the here and now, in this month budget or goals, in this quarter, maybe in this year. And strategy to me is about looking, pushing this flashlight and looking at this 5-7 years, although, it might be science fiction, like you said, we might be outrun by invaders from space, but we have to take some line right now that we might know what potentially might happen and go within these lines. And I think this is where you stop for a second, you breathe deep for maybe a couple of days with the team, and you try and let them think about it and think about the meaningful things that could then make a difference toward that time frame, because sometimes the here and now is just too involving and disabling for you to really think on the price performance, on the long-term value, on how much it creates a distraction or maybe erosion in the team. I think I also learned a lot. We recently joined to Embracer, an amazing Swedish gaming company. And what I learned from Lars, we always say and we act that the people are really, really important, but whenever he's asked, he's really answering consistently about his strategy. It's just to get great new entrepreneurs into the company. And I think this is also, so yeah, you need to set, and we set some where we want to be business-wise, but then the other thing is who are going to be the people and the team joining us in this journey, because they can very much determine where we're going, because it's not only the place, but it's also who is on board. So it's like a ship, not like a set path.
Okay, that's very good. I also felt that, it's so easy to get confused with all these options around us in the short term. And sometimes having this talk about something that's crazy far in the future, 7 years, 10 years, really can help you find those key things we should focus on in our daily work. Do we have any other comments from the panel? What has worked for you, or is there perhaps something you recommend our listeners to avoid in strategy work? So what's good and what's bad?
Erik, I would use a chance to recommend a book that actually could change a lot of people's mind, because most of the guys in the business doesn't understand that business and life, those are infinity games, and you have to learn yourself, and the strategy that you are executing has to be with only one goal: how to survive as long as possible. So I really recommend, it's a great book by Simon Sinek. It's called Infinity Games. So I think everyone who wants to have a long career, even career path or a long life as a business, should read it and try to, learn as much as possible how to position themselves, that there is no winner or losers at the end of the year. So the challenges, as Sagi said already, is coming constantly to us. So we need to learn how to survive as long as possible.
That's very good. So I've heard a metaphor in the startup community in Finland that some entrepreneurs saying that, I don't want to do these unicorns, that I want to be like a cockroach that's going to survive even nuclear war. So yeah, there's a metaphor for you. But hey, let's talk about positioning. We have here companies that have like different positioning and vision for the future. And Akin, I'd like to ask you, because one of the first things that Tripledot did was to launch a solitaire game, which I've understood has been a quite mature and probably competitive market, which established companies competing there. So what were you thinking? Didn't you read about this red and blue ocean strategy at Harvard? So why did you decide that this positioning makes sense to you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, when we started the company, my co-founder and I, we've both kind of been in the gaming sector for a while. We're both operators at heart. So, I think one of the theses that we started the company with was that there are a lot of people that are in love with the craft of gaming, and there are less companies out there that love games, love building great teams, but more importantly, prioritize building great businesses. So in order to do that, we needed to prove that we are operators at heart. We knew that, but we needed to demonstrate that. So, we started by, I think back to the earlier point of Cvetan, we said, how do we, eliminate the market risk and go out, take on just the execution risk, right? So anytime you start a new venture, you have a market risk that you take on, and you have an execution risk. And by going after a very big proven market, we wanted to kind of eliminate the market risk. We don't want to build a product where, as a very, very young company, we don't even know if people are going to enjoy it, right? So we went after the most evergreen category of there'll always be people playing solitaire, and for us it was a good testament to whether or not we can really operate as successfully as we thought we could, right? So if you can take a solitaire game, scale it in 2 years to become the largest solitaire game, one of the largest or the largest, I don't obviously know everybody's revenue numbers, but it's a very sizable game for us. Then we can actually credibly say that we are very good operators, and we can actually scale games in a very competitive market. And we've done that a few times ever since. So we have grown incredibly fast, and now when we start talking to other companies about potentially doing M&A, buying other studios and so on, one of the things we do say to them is, look, you have an amazing game, and we did this scale with solitaire. Imagine what we can do with this kind of unique game, etc. And that's the message that resonates really, really well. So the bottom line, I think, for me, has always been, it's vital to have a strategy that is in place, but execution eats strategy for breakfast any day of the week. So so that's kind of like what we've been operating as a company.
Very good. Thanks, Akin. It's really, really important and interesting to hear. And these are important issues that I think, in gaming, often we hear people say that, why can't we just make a good game? But if you want to be successful in this industry as a business, then there needs to be some kind of business model. So let's go over to Rob. So out of all the people here in the panel, I would say that maybe your positioning is most unique here, at least different than the others. So can you tell us a little bit about your thoughts on innovation, and how did you arrive at innovating in this way, that you position yourself differently in the market?
True. So I've been almost 20 years first started on the internet and then gaming, but mostly in performance marketing, what Cvetan said that he doesn't like. Through that, my previous company, we were a performance-based marketing agency. And through that, I saw lots and lots of games, and I always wanted kind of like to switch sides and become the developer, the owner of the game, to have a real product, not just give services. But since I saw so many games, I realized that it's almost impossible to compete with the big guys. It's such a difficult market, and you really need to have something powerful at hand to be successful. So eventually, I came across this idea of doing something that's very different, very unique, very innovative. And I went all in for it, and from the get-go, from the very first MVP that we launched into the market, which was very, very lean, the next day we had people that are paying. Okay, and when in the gaming industry, usually when you launch a game, you expect to have some kind of retention metrics after a few months, and we had paying players the first day. So I realized that we actually have something powerful at hand, and then we invested much more, and we brought in funds and people and stuff. So this was and still is our strategy, to keep doing something that is very, very different from anyone else. It also brings a lot of difficulties because you don't have a lot of knowledge to take in from the industry. I cannot look at the best 10 social casino games or match-3 games and just take the best of breed from all of them and do something a little bit better, like maybe execution, maybe creative, maybe monetization. I really need to constantly innovate and invent what we're doing, which is very difficult, but it is also very fun. And it also gives us the edge and the ability to compete in the market.
Very good. Well, out of all the metrics you can share to investors to show that you're on the right path, I suppose actual revenue from real customers is one of the best to have. So that's a good thing to remind that this sales is a really great evidence of traction, and we should strive to get that as early as possible. It's a very competitive industry we are in, and Miina, I want to give you your turn to speak now. I'm sure that there's a occupational health doctor out there who could easily categorize anybody starting a new company in the gaming industry as a little bit insane, because it's just going to be so damn difficult. So let's talk about your business model. What is the special thing or element in your business model that you want to focus on in order to succeed in the market?
Yeah, and for sure, I think that insanity comes with the job, especially founding a company in March 2020. So, but yeah, for us, I think since we're also in the space of free-to-play mobile games, action genre, which is very competitive, for us, I think kind of our competitive advantage came almost as a surprise to us as well. When we still had the game in beta, we started creating a Discord community around the game, and it just started growing and growing, and we had a link inside the game, and nowadays we have over 6,000 people on our Discord channel, and they organize events by themselves. They self-moderate the community, and for us, we felt like our community has been a really, it's both ways. They bring new people to the game, but they also keep us loving developing the game and bringing really good live ops updates for the players. And as an example, there was another company who copied our game almost to the letter. Every single screen, they just changed the graphics, and our players found it and they review bombed the game and said, like, this is not Boomslingers, you're copying our favorite game, don't do this. And it still hasn't gotten any traction. So I think there is, for us, business-wise or just in the sense of what makes us happy is seeing our community support us. And I think that's how we can create those day 365 retention. And we had players in our Discord community just celebrating their 1 year with the game. So that's how we feel is what keeps us going in this kind of very competitive landscape.
So Miina, how do you make sure that this is not just like a lucky coincidence that happened with a good game? How do you make sure that it's a part of your business model, that you can repeat it, that you can scale it with this game and repeat it with other games when you expand to a portfolio? I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, I think there definitely is a sense of us deciding to do it. And since we noticed that, okay, this is a type of game that really brings in this kind of community-minded people, we've really kind of wanted to double down on that and create links in the game and create content for the players. And I think it's always about that kind of us communicating with them as well. We hop there on the server and talk with our players, and we give them also power. We give them power to moderate the community. We give them power to give out items in the game to other players. And I think it's that kind of trust that has kept us going. But I also think it's a matter of segmentation. Our player base is young, and our game is targeted towards younger players. And I think it started from this kind of like noticing and recognizing what our player base looks like and creating community tools that support, like a game that is targeted towards 35 plus women, probably Discord isn't the best place to form a community. But I think, and so it's also about that positioning in our games. And when we create new games, we want to create games that have this community aspect to them as well.
Erik, may I comment
Yes.
something?
Please do, Cvetan.
I think you just put too much pressure on Miina by expecting that their second or third game will be exactly the same hit and they can scale it. Just to give you some examples from my experience, in Imperia Online, we have the chance to have our first game super successful, bringing more than 15 years, millions of revenues. And we also have 28 tries to copy this success, and we have 28 fails. So we probably sometime realized that probably we got lucky because we are super good in life ops and prolonging the life of a game, engaging with community. Completely agree with Miina. Discord channel is mandatory. This is where you back in the days it was forums, like 15 years ago it was forums, but now Discord channels are super important for contacting your community and engaging with them. And yeah, unfortunately we are super good in life ops and managing games, but the start, wow, it's something super hard. So our strategy currently is like we focus on our flaws, and we saw, hey, we're not able to produce a new game from scratch, from zero. So that's why we move to acquiring assets. And recently we got acquire a game. We managed to increase the revenues and the performance of the game after we acquire it. And now the game is also making more than $1 million per month, which is great, but it's not our game. It's we build on top of it, but the first few months of making the core audience around it, it's super hard.
Hey, good points, Cvetan. And I think like the only thing that helps in this situation when you're updating your game or you're expanding your portfolio, and this is what really allowed us at Dodreams to go from 90% ads to a nice 50-50 balance with IAPs, was the going from assumptions to actual player insights. So it used to be that you have to have analytics, and there was this discussion that should we even follow analytics for a game, but now it's more like having these psychological profiles of what motivates the players and so forth. But hey, we're coming to the end of our time, and I want to save time for Q&A. So let's move on to the last topic. And guess what, Sagi? You're going to be first to get the question. So I want to talk about execution. They say that no business plan survives first contact with the actual customers. So could you share, and I'm going to ask this for everyone, so please be prepared. Could you share something that you struggled with this year related to your business model and strategy, and how did you overcome it?
Wow. Tell me something we didn't struggle with. I don't know Cvetan, but he sounds like a really smart guy. I mean, this is the industry, in all the books you read about them preparing you to fail in a kind of this really insightful way, but it doesn't sound like they mean that. But in gaming, you actually teach people to fail constantly and rapidly. And in hyper casual, we have a business in which, if you look at the top funnel, how many developers we work with and games we create ourselves, we got this year 3,000 games. So and out of that, we released maybe, let's say 15 in worldwide. So imagine what happened with the rest. So some of them, were just not interesting, but with many, they got some investment and tests and improvements, and they failed at later stages. Some of them were done by partner developers. Some of them were done internally. And through all of this, we try to improve and get the process to be better. This is one side in the business. I think, and we also kind of had a brief discussion on that before. One of the key things we failed this year, I think, was our onboarding. So COVID, and COVID is still there. It rears its ugly head every once in a while now again. And as a growing company, and when you need to bring new talents, smart people globally, and especially when it's globally, as talent is not concentrated in any one specific country and it's hard to obtain, doing the onboarding became significantly harder, and preparing for this global remote onboarding where team just assemble in different time zone, different languages, different everything. And we were not doing it good for a long time, and we are now slowly improving. Hopefully we'll get it done much better this year. So so this is somewhere that we identified, improving, not yet getting a really great grade, but hopefully we will.
Very good. That's an excellent point. We really have to take care of new people joining companies. Ron, anything you struggled with this year, and how did you overcome?
Lots of stuff. So I think generally, not only us. When we as founders and CEOs and everyone else in the company, product managers and monetization people and everyone have ideas of how to improve the game, right? We always have ideas, and maybe specifically for us, our game lends itself to so many ideas because it's like an open-ended thing where you can go in so many ways. So we constantly have ideas how to do things, and sometimes we rush into doing them without planning too much. So unfortunately, I found out repeatedly that you really need to plan and know, not only go at it like it's more fun at the beginning, but then it's much less fun when you fail. So today, I as the CEO of the company, I constantly try to push people to innovate, to try something new, to change, not to get stuck in the way that we do stuff, and constantly find other ways. But on the other hand, it's also dangerous. It's risky, because when you change stuff and you aim for good, sometimes you hurt the existing performance. And obviously, lots of times you just simply fail. You have a very nice idea and you simply fail. So it's okay, it's part of the business. You have to fail and you have to succeed at some points, but you really need to plan and to understand all the metrics and how it's going to be done and what you're going to measure after the test is run, and also not simply release stuff, but try to A/B test everything that you release. So this is a lot about trial and error and fails and how to deal with all these things.
That's a good reminder, Ron, and we've experienced this also at Dodreams, because the game has a big live audience that sometimes we're so quick at experimenting that, for example, the community people and customer support don't know that something was changed, and then they're surprised, like why are some people angry on Discord? So yeah, there has to be planning and conversation nonetheless. Miina, anything you'd like to share with us about the struggles with strategy and business model, and most importantly, how did you overcome?
Yeah, like what Ron said was very kind of similar to the feelings I had. I think for us, there's always this kind of thought of like always go for the one that has the highest impact with the lowest amount of effort. But I think there is a downside to doing that, and I'm kind of slowly going towards high impact, high or medium effort type of things, because for us, for a long time, we were running from financing round to another. We would have to do these things that could be developed in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, keeping up with the live ops schedule. I can really feel that when you do live ops, you always, even though you don't want to think about it, you always feel that kind of pressure, like, okay, we need to get the monthly release out. And let's say we have something, we want to keep on innovating with the game, and let's say we have something that takes 3 to 4 months to develop. I think it's really easy to push back and think of like, hey, maybe we should do this thing that only takes a week and we can be really sure that it works. But once you do that for like 6-8 months in a row, you realize like if you started doing that big feature, you would have shipped it out already. So I think it's about that kind of focus, and also sometimes slowing down, like you said, like Ron said, looking at the big picture and planning. And we've just started, like the game has been out for a year now, and I think we've just started now to get a hang of how do we balance those kind of long that take a long time to develop, these bigger meta systems. And then, the smaller thing, let's say maybe we should change pricing here, or maybe we should change the UI and the screen, which can also bring high impact in certain situations. But balancing those out with the team as well, and then with the live ops schedule, has been something I think for the first 6 months of the game, we didn't ship out any big features because we couldn't find a time to make them. So I think that's been the largest for us.
Yeah, I guess it relates to the life cycle of the game and the studio. Like there's a huge change at Dodreams this year when we got a proper free-to-play backend, and investing in these tools has just made updating the game so much faster. But the time wasn't right for us earlier, but eventually we turned this offline game into a live service. So, hey, let's see if we could get a quick comment from Cvetan and Akin before we see if there are any questions. So, Cvetan, any struggles? How did you overcome?
Yeah, of course, we have struggles. Who said we overcome them? We still have them. I would agree with Sagi. Onboarding of new people, but mostly we struggle with our creative process, because as a product company, we have to gather together. Most of the time that some crazy idea just became a reality is during a nonsense talk in the office, somewhere in the office. And working from home is actually making harder those creative processes. And we still don't have any idea how to solve it. It was easy for us to start working from home. We did it for one day like this because we were prepared. But the creative processes are getting less effective and slow and smaller. I have this feeling by looking at the ideas that we were producing. Something else happened this year: changes on the stores, IDFA changes on Apple Store. It was a huge hit. And here I will refer to strategy. 3 years ago, we joined forces with other company. We saw the future, like foreseeing the short future, and we realized that it will be even harder for us to survive alone. So as Sagi joined Embracer, we joined Steelfront Group, and now as a family of 20 companies, it's more easier for us. We have a hubs or center of excellence, is call it wherever. So our marketing currently is done by Good Game Studio, which has a huge team, a lot of experience, and now they kind of remove this burden off my shoulders with IDFA.
So you don't have to do the UA.
Yeah,
yourself.
I don't have to do it.
Hey, Cvetan, let me move over to Akin because I really want him to have a chance to share something also. So what do you say, Akin? Anything that concerns you about the future? You're an entrepreneur and investor. What's any concerns about the future of our industry?
I think our industry has, a lot of challenge. I think humanity as a whole, a lot of challenges, right? Like, the COVID pandemic is really, really concerning. I wake up pretty much every day, trying to see what I can do. But this is like really unprecedented times. I guess if you move down to the earth one level below, I think, the challenges are, I think it is important. I think it's one of the rare moments that really company C-level executives need to think about what's the future hold in terms of blockchain gaming. Is it real? Is it a fad? What do you do about it? How do you get your own company ready for it? Or can you even get ready for it's there's a lot of existentialist crisis I think on the horizon, but I also think that means that this is the perfect time to be a gaming entrepreneur because there's so many exciting things that are happening. It's a category that's always redisrupting itself. So, I think it's very, very exciting. I mean, IDFA, et cetera, has been a challenge. I think will remain a challenge as well. But I think you learn to live with it and you align yourself better. But there's so many things that are always on the horizon. And, it's a very rare moment where you have to actually, take those elements of strategy and incorporate it your daily execution, I think.
Well, very good. Thanks, Akin, and thanks, everyone. Michael, do we have questions from the audience? I think we might be running out of time. So, or is it thank you and goodbye already?
We are a bit close on time. Thank you all. You all represent a whole wealth of experience. I did want to ask a really quick question because Cvetan touched on it. And that was with his comment about Infinity Games being an important book. I did want to ask, what would be your most influential books that, in your journeys as you are as CEOs, co-founders and COOs?
Okay, so let's go real quick. Most influential book. Anybody want to share something?
I like the Peter Thiel's 0 to 1. I think it's really talking about what Cvetan mentioned. Some people know how to build from 0 to 1, see the fantasy. Some people know how to take one and make it great, and very few people know how to do both. So, so it's a very interesting and inspiring book.
Any other tips?
Yeah, may I add the second book?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I have to check the exact title because yeah, it's Hard Thing About Hard Things. It's a great book from Ben Horowitz. It's about how you should run your company and what would you expect by running it. It's a great book.
I will
Oh, carry on, Akin.
No, sorry, Ron. Yeah, I was just gonna say. So I try to read one book every week. So like that's like a challenge that I learned at Facebook, and it's like I don't have time, but I just at least make an effort and just go through. I will say there's too many. I'm reading Indistractable by Nir Eyal right now. It's pretty good. But Peter Thiel's book 0 to 1. Just read anything Peter Thiel writes with caution, I would say. Sorry, Sagi, but I just in general, just very anti Peter Thiel for me. But anyway.
But Akin, when you read it, you don't have to adopt everything. It gives you someone else's who is not in line with us view on life. So it kind of like the previous. So it gets you from your comfort zone to another zone. I'm not saying adopt everything.
No, for sure. It's a well-written book. It's a well-written book. Yeah.
So don't read only the people that you like, because otherwise you're going to.
Oh, of course. Yeah. So I read it multiple times actually. It's like I keep going back to it, but overall, I'm just saying.
We got the makings of another debate here.
Yeah. Do you regret asking this quick question?
I knew it was a bit risky. Erik, I do have to just quickly wrap up and say that your quote, "What's wrong with you that you ended up in gaming?" I think is really relatable, and the people watching really enjoyed that. So thank you very much indeed. Well, thank you all for a brilliant panel. Thank you all for sharing your experience and taking the time. We're going to have to wrap it up there, I'm afraid.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Bye-bye.
Thank you.